What's up, everybody? So today I'd just like to take a moment to talk about FIRE, the FIRE movement. Let's talk about it. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, not money nerds, not money geeks like myself, there's been this movement going around the blogosphere, podcast, people talking about the FIRE community. FIRE is an acronym. It stands for Financially Independent, Retired, Early. Now, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions when they hear this. They think, oh man, that sounds hard, or that might be impossible, or man, why are you working so hard? The other misconceptions could be, oh, you're a lazy millennial, you're a lazy Gen Z, you just want to quit your job, you just want to not work so hard as everybody else. But that's not exactly the case either. FIRE is about having a plan, sticking to your plan, being financially responsible, and just making sure that you're going to get to retirement when you want to get to retirement. Once you take control of your finances, it really forces you to take control of everything else in your life. If you got a budget, you might not be wondering where all the money went at the end of the day after you go to the clubs. I know I'd be guilty of it sometimes too. I'd like to talk about 3 different types of FIRE. Now in the community, they split it up into 3 different categories, so far that I've seen. There's Fat FIRE. Now this is the idea that you don't want to change your lifestyle. You don't want to live less. You don't want to give up anything, you know? Shoot, I know I live pretty bare bones right now. I don't think there's a single thing I can give up. Everything I own fits in my car. So for me, I'm trying to go Fat FIRE. I need to earn more money. And that's the basis behind Fat FIRE. On the other end of the spectrum, there's Lean FIRE. Now let's say you're making a little more than the average Joe. You know you could cut back some expenses, so you become what people might call a frugal weirdo. You're cutting back. You're cutting back your groceries to a set amount per month. You know, you might be eating the same thing every day, making the same commute, cutting back on gas, cutting back, living in a smaller house, etc., etc., and just cutting back as fast as you can to make it to your goal as fast as you can. You're trying to retire early. Now there's a third type of FIRE, which is kind of in the middle. And I kind of like it because I prefer the middle way. I like when things are in balance. It's called Barista FIRE. It's not technically financially independent, but it would allow you to retire early with a fraction of the percentage of the income you need. Say you wanted to retire at 40, but you didn't have enough to just sit around and do nothing. Not that someone who works that hard is going to sit around and do nothing if you retired at 40. So at that point, what you can do is you can work part-time jobs and things you love. For me, that might be YouTube, content creation. I can quit my main job, or people like to call it their 9 to 5, and then you can work a part-time job that you love, or work less hours at your job because you don't need them as much. FIRE isn't necessarily about quitting your job. If you love the work you do and you want to continue to do it forever, that's great. That's actually what FIRE is all about. It's about getting to the point where you don't have to worry about doing work you don't want to do, and start working on the work that you actually do want to do and focusing on it in the community. Now for me, I've got a great job. I went to college, got a degree in chemistry, got me a job down the road in some manufacturing plant, and I love being on my feet. I love working. I love working really hard. But you know, I figured I'd teach people on YouTube how to do this as my side project. For me, being an educator is what really motivates me. I love my job, and I get to do this job as well. So what are the origins of FIRE? Well, financial independence, retiring early, started with an author named Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. They wrote a book called Your Money or Your Life. In it, she describes many concepts: how to spend your dollar responsibly, how to save money, how to invest, how much are you actually earning. And by this, she talks about, yes, you work your 40-hour weeks, probably more if you're the average American, but then you come home at the end of the day, you need to decompress, you need to watch TV for 2 hours. That's added 2 hours to your work, because that's time at work when you're not doing other things that you want to be doing, spending time with your loved ones, working on your hobbies, etc. You have to commute to and from work. Say you live 30 minutes away from work. I live down here in LA, so say you live 90 minutes from work. Shoot, that's 3 hours. But shoot, yeah, that hour or 3 hours or whatever it takes you to get to and from work, now that's time taken out of your day. That's part of the work week. Put all those together, your 40, maybe 60-hour work weeks is looking a lot more like a 70, 80-hour work week. Now you divide the amount you made by 80 hours, it's not looking so good, is it? So it's just about focusing your time and energy into doing what you want to do and to making sure that you have time for your passion projects. This book was so revolutionary when it came out in 1992. I wasn't born yet, I'll admit it. And I believe she was the first author to ever mention or even point out that you could actually retire early if you followed the rules and regulations of the American stock market. I happen to live in the USA, so that's what I'm familiar with, that's what I can address. I know some of the Canadian policies, but I'm not too familiar. So I'm sorry, Canadian listeners, but if you need budgeting tips, hacks, frugality, just things like that, feel free to stick around. I give love to all my brothers and sisters all over the world, so I'm not trying to hate on anybody. Like I said, this is financial education for all. Now, here's the thing about FIRE for me. I've been destitute, downtrodden, poverty, lower class, in and out of homelessness a couple times. When I finally learned about money, got my finances together, it forced me to be responsible. It forced me to get a will, get beneficiaries on my accounts. It forced me to make budgets. It forced me to do all this adulting, as my friends would say. And you know what? That's really important. I didn't learn this in school, even though I got straight A's. My mom, who raised me, she was from the middle class, so that meant she was surviving on a lot of her debt. My dad, first generation American. I remember when he got his green card, I was in middle school. He worked his way from the bottom up to the top. So you know what? I'm coming first generation American and like middle class white collar American, where people are like stunting, keeping up with the Joneses. Shoot, nobody knew what they were doing. But now that I know what I'm doing, I'm dedicated to share that with all of you. FIRE movement is not for everyone. I won't lie. Some people are happy at their jobs and they want to work there forever. But there's nothing wrong with getting your finances together. There's also nothing wrong about not reaching retirement as early as you wanted, or maybe a little later than you expected. FIRE is about just trying to get my finances together, trying to get my life together, trying to give back and share all this information I've learned with, everyone in the world. I'm talking to the internet right now, I guess. I think knowledge is the one true power, and I really think that's what's important about this movement. If I don't end up retiring early, or say I don't hit financial independence as soon as I want to, that's okay. I'm aiming to fail. I'll tell you a story about my dad. He came to this country with nothing, but he went through all the different states, man. And at one time he picked up cross-country skiing. And he was telling me about when he was learning to ski. Man, he would fall. And he'd get a little frustrated sometimes, right? You're trying to learn to ski, you keep falling in the snow. So you know what he told himself? He said, you know what? I'm going to aim to fail. I'm going to try and hit the snow. And he would hit the snow hard and he'd be laughing. He would hit the snow hard and he'd be laughing. And then one day he was trying to fail and he wasn't falling anymore. He was skiing. And that's what I'm talking about with this getting financially independent, getting your finances together. I'm going to fail. I'm going to make dumb purchases, stupid mistakes. Everybody fails. We buy cars we don't need. We buy too much house. We get locked into leases. Live in an expensive area. That's so me. You can't truly be a failure unless you stop trying. And that's why I'm trying every day to, share these videos with you and just keep the movement going. So at the end of the day, thanks everyone for watching my first video. I'll put the link to Vicki Robbins' book in the description below, Your Money or Your Life. Real good read. I'll review a bunch of books one day. Tell me if you want that in the comments. And yeah, like and subscribe if you feel it. Have a nice day, y'all. Take care.